So I wanted to share a little bit about me. I like to learn a lot. I love learning new things, and I love sharing what it is I learn. And in my 30s, I started having a lot of digestive issues. I felt sick all the time, no energy, whatnot. And it was my diet. It was many other things too, and I wasn't drinking enough water. So I started doing the research on dieting and water and whatnot, and I learned that your stomach has a certain pH level it has to be at, and when you drink water, your body doesn't absorb, your stomach won't absorb the water unless it's 7 pH or higher. So that's where Smart Water comes in, or Fuji water, which is my favorite water, by the way. It has a high pH level. Your body absorbs it. You'll notice a difference when you start drinking it, and you won't pee it out so fast. It made a big difference in my life. I distill all my water when I'm at home. I don't always buy this because it's expensive, but what you can do after you distill the water is pick up some lemons or some limes and just squeeze them into the water. It will bring up the acidity, the pH level, which comes to another thing which I experience. When you work out, you build up a lot of lactic acid, and the water is what flushes that out. But when you have a higher pH level and you start putting lemons or limes in the water, it helps get that lactic acid out of your muscles, and you won't be so sore the next day. What I'll do is I'll get a cup. I'll use bottled water too. I'll get a cup. I'll put lemon or lime in it and a little bit of sugar. I'll drink it right before I go to bed. It's the perfect cure. You gotta drink good water. Which comes to another thing. Something I will be talking about a lot. Something that I've learned and I understand and know. Our water systems, our treatment plants, they're not up to par. They can't clean out all these modern chemicals and things we're putting into the septic system, which people, women on birth control, hormones, all those things, they're in our tap water. They're in our water everywhere you go, because a lot of our water treatment plants, they're old. They're really old. Not all of them, but majority of them. They're so out of date, and they're designed when we have flash floods to mix with our fresh water, the ocean, the lakes. It literally dumps right into our ecosystem, and it's wreaking havoc. It's messing up our fish. It's hermaphroditing our fish. It's fucking up the plants. And our country isn't doing anything about it. There's other countries, you can do the research, they're working on it. They've been designing new treatment centers to get all this stuff out. But the United States isn't one of them. They don't ever talk about it. Which, I had an experience why I talk about these things. The only woman I ever proposed to, her name was Margarita. She was from Mexico City. And I took her on a canoe date out in Howell, Michigan area. They got a really, really nice river, part of the Huron River system. Well, we were canoeing. And what's crazy is we were planning on going Saturday. But we had some free time, so we just decided to go Friday, and we went. Had a beautiful time, by the way. Margot's wonderful. Most beautiful person I've ever met on this planet. Inside, too. But the next day, right, she calls me and tells me to turn on the news. So I click on the news, I turn on the TV, I happen to be home at the time. And that same river on Saturday they had an emergency broadcast on the news and said, if anybody's in the river or have swam in this river on this Saturday or been around it, to report, go to the hospital immediately. Some plant that had rights to pour into the ecosystem accidentally let some chemicals into the river that could potentially harm people, kill people. Why are we allowed to do this? Why are the politics in our country letting this happen still, you know? And we know why. It's all about money. But just to think that the woman that I proposed to, me and her were swimming in it the day before. We could have been in it that Saturday, you know? We might not even be here right now if we would have went that Saturday. It's crazy. And when you start doing the research about water, these companies pay the government to release these chemicals into the plant. I mean, from the plant into the river. And they're only allowed to have so much chemicals go into the river that they accept that won't technically harm people, but it's all bullshit. It's pure bullshit. If you're ever interested or want to know more, you can look up Toms River, New Jersey. Toms River, New Jersey had a plant there which originated in Switzerland, and they came over here because they were dumping all the dye, the cloth dye from the textile factories into the river over there, and people were getting sick. So they decided to bring it over here. And they got away with it for a while in Ohio, and then Ohio, seeing what was going on, men were catching like testicular cancer, many crazy things, and they migrated to Toms River, New Jersey, and they operated for years. They did, not only did they do textile, they did pharmaceuticals as well, and they got away with it for couple decades, like into the 90s. And what's crazy, there's a big lawsuit. It was crazy. There's a book about it. But it wasn't until the 90s when a bunch of nurses in like Pennsylvania area started noticing there was a lot of people coming from New Jersey to their cancer treatment centers. And they noticed, you know, a pattern going on, and they said something to the doctors, and the doctors were like, oh, it's just, you know, it's a coincidence, blah, blah, blah. And they didn't take a no for an answer. They just kept on pushing and trying to figure out what was really going on. And they found out what was going on. The textile plant, the chemical plant, pharmaceutical plant, they were basically digging holes and just putting all the waste in these holes. And the waste was getting into the water table, and it was affecting everybody, man. It not only like we're getting in people's tap water, people were drinking it, showering with it. It was, they had a pipeline, they created a pipeline all the way to the ocean. There was a big activist thing going on, people were fighting against it, whatnot, but the pipeline ran all the way from Toms River to the Atlantic Ocean, and other companies would pay them to dump their waste in there for cheap, because then they didn't have to dispose of it properly. And it was killing dolphins, all types of stuff, man. So as I travel and sail and whatnot, I'll be looking into these things. I'll be asking people, you know, in the neighborhoods what they know and what they've seen happening around their area with pollution and whatnot. We gotta stand up together. We gotta start making a change and clean up this planet. I know in my heart, if we don't, we'll go so far we won't be able to turn back. And it's also given me a purpose in life. It's motivated me to do this and know that I did something good with my life, you know? So please help me, subscribe, talk to people, learn, gain an understanding, especially of who you are and what it is you're doing in life. You'll be happy you did.